Welcome to Keep What You Earn, your judgment and jargon-free zone for entrepreneurs of all levels. Get ready to learn how to scale your business, save money in taxes, and create a business that grows your wealth. If it feels like the financial side of business is like eating your vegetables, well then think of this podcast as the ranch dressing to make the process a little more enjoyable. My name is Weinstein. I'm a CPA and business owner on a mission to simplify money and empower others through knowledge. I hope this episode inspires you to take action, but remember that the information we share is for educational purposes only and is not individual tax advice. Now that we got that out of the way, let's start the show. I've had so many conversations with colleagues, experts, contractors, anyone that I've worked with in business, and it's been around accountability, but in the context of holding people accountable because they're either unable or unwilling to complete certain tasks timely. We associate accountability with discipline or punishment. And that is how the word accountability is used, at least in my career. When it comes to, accountability it becomes synonymous with micromanaging. And nothing could be further from the truth when you truly understand how accountability works. And what I've realized is that team accountability is not about a lack of trust. It's not about a lack of motivation. It is about setting the right expectations, making them super clear, and making sure everyone's on the same page. And we have recently, as a team, we've grown. And as I'm recording this very week, I brought on 2 new team members. And one of the catalysts for being able to do that has been utilizing different project management tools and different ways to manage the team and to not just manage their tasks, but manage communication and clarity and make sure that we're all on the same page. And I feel like despite the fact that I met with a couple of our new team members only a couple times this week briefly, they had all the direction they needed to move forward. And I'm really excited about that because the tools that we've begun using are working and they will only get better. I'm going to share what those tools are. I'm also going to share with you some of the tools for team and project management that I have utilized from corporate, a few concepts that admittedly I don't know the origin of, but I was taught in my career that have really served me well. So I want to start with very specifically what we're currently using in our business is Asana. Asana is like a project management tool for task management. It is so cool for the organized person who wants to keep a board of things that they're working on. I literally had a whiteboard with a marker in my office. I still have it. But I wrote all my clients on that board, and then I would make a list of the things I had to work on and the dates, the target dates. And then next thing I knew, I was writing the initials of the person who was helping me with that and circling their name and putting other dates. And I'm like, it's 2023. There's got to be a better way, Shan, because I would go, I'm not kidding you. I'm pretty tech savvy, but I would go on business trips. And you know what I would do before I leave? I took a picture of my whiteboard and I brought it with me. I would take a picture and I would look at it on my phone and be like, oh yeah, that's what I got to work on today. And while it didn't fail me necessarily, it was definitely not the best way. And as I grew a team, I knew that I could never expect everyone to adopt that type of process. So we had to find something that worked. And for us, that's Asana. It's literally my whiteboard in a sheet. We also run this entire podcast, by the way, on an Asana board. I kid you not. We run the entire show using project management and using the team. And it's been amazing as an implementation tool to be able to bring you daily episodes. That is the reason. We have been able to deliver daily episodes with no real friction to my calendar because of this tool. It's been just amazing. And shout out to Sid at the Creators Attaché. She is just amazing at helping us implement this. She is big on accountability, has taught us everything we need to know about Asana and then some. And, shout out, she has this program called On Demand COO. We will put a link in the show notes so you can learn more about it. But if you want to get up and going on this, couldn't agree more that you need something like that in your life. So aside from the project management tool, like let's say you know how to manage projects. It's a great tool. But if you've never worked in project management or consulting or worked on client engagements before, then it's intimidating because you may have never encountered these types of things before. And my first projects that I had to manage were when I was 23. I had to manage teams at age 23. I kid you not. One of the main reasons why I had massive stress and anxiety through my early 20s, but also one of the main reasons why I was so skilled at managing at a very young age. And I was kind of thrown in the fire, as most people are in public accounting. And I couldn't be more grateful for that experience. But I'm going to share a couple of things that I think are really crucial to success. One of the things that we engaged with early on in my career is something called a RACI matrix. And I want to explain what that is. Some people say RACI, some people say RASI, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. And I think this comes from a concept like Six Sigma or one of those other programs. So if I'm miscrediting it, I apologize. The origin of it is unknown to me. However, it's not something we made up, but the RACI, which is RACI, the RACI matrix, we would basically take these massive undertakings, the massive projects in corporate, and we would distill it down to dates and the RACI. And the RACI was R for responsible, A for accountable, C for consulted, I for informed. And every single initiative that we managed as a team, there was somebody underneath those boxes. Somebody was more than one. There were definitely people who were more than one of these, but let me explain what each one means. So responsible means that they own it, like they're responsible for the outcome. Accountable meant that they were accountable to the actions. So I always associate accountable and action. So they were accountable to taking the actions that would get us to where we wanted to be. But the responsible party was the person who was overseeing. So that might be like the high level leader, and the accountable might be the manager, right? So they were more close to the task. Consulted would be the person who is advised, the person who is brought in, like they're not really close to the project, but they had to be engaged somehow. They had to get involved. And informed would be somebody who just needs the status update. So there are two reasons why this worked. It worked from the standpoint of nobody was really like getting involved in each other's business because you knew who was responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. Like you knew when you were working on the project, what level of involvement was expected out of other people. But mostly where this came into play is then you would not overstep, because you knew that you were not responsible, you were not accountable. Like if you were a consulted or informed party, you stayed out of it, or you had the liberty to stay out of it. And that was really helpful. So what I've realized building my own business and kind of dropping back into this tool that I used in corporate, this has been super helpful because I realized that there are different responsible people, accountable people, consulted and informed. And I have found myself shifting from accountable to informed. And that's what you should be doing as a founder. You should be shifting more into the informed category, into the just give me the status update, or into the just tell me what you need from me or what pieces I need to contribute. That would be like the consulted, right? Like what do I need to contribute in, or what questions can I answer for you to unblock the roadway here for you to move forward? And it's been amazing. And I think that you have to build the processes. You have to build the SOPs, the systems, the team, the manuals, whatever it is. You have to build that to enable you to be in the C and the I. That you don't need to get involved in the R and the A. Like you're not primarily responsible for the execution, nor are you accountable to the action steps. So I'll give you an example of how our team may use this, right? So Courtney, who's my COO, she would probably be responsible for a lot of different tasks related to the podcast now, related to, the operations of the business, programming automations, things like that. She is responsible for it. However, she has a team and she will delegate to that team who is accountable to execution. I will be consulted, or perhaps Sid, my, fractional CMO, she will be consulted on matters that are, particularly technical, where we need a specialist or where we need to engage someone. Courtney may even engage another member of our team. She might engage another party, go external, even engage another client that she has to ask them what they do. And then she'll inform me. She will, tag me in Asana and say, hey, Shan, here's the status. And here's the one question I have. Like narrow it down to the one question, like the font doesn't fit in the Canva graphic. What do you want me to do? Like whatever it is, of course that's minimal, but like it's all about distilling it down to the one thing that only I can solve. And when you built that process, to enable that to happen, that is what feels so gratifying as a founder. I'm just telling you that once you kind of feel the sensation that like, oh, that's actually happening. I really don't know what's going on day to day in my business. I know what I've assigned people to do. I know they're working on it, but I'm not like hovering over everything. And I don't really know what everybody did today. And that's okay. I'm at peace with that. I know they were working and moving objectives forward, and it feels great. So I will say, when it comes to accountability, consider the idea of the RACI matrix. And especially if you have a particular launch or project that you're working on where there could be blurred lines between people's duties and roles, or there could be interdependencies, consider lining this up and like actually laying it out for the team, like saying, who is RAC and I on this particular task? Because then you know exactly who's accountable, you know who to follow up with, and you know if you're just going to be informed of the status, like you don't get involved, right? So keep that in mind. And of course, the other thing that I've seen work really well for teams, and this is something that is really honed in the book Scaling Up, it is holding accountability by financial statement line item. Now, bear with me on this. Accountability to your teams, depending on what size you're at. Like for me, project management and the RACI is great because we have small projects. We just have a lot of projects, but I don't have a massive team with layers of direction and management. So if you have a bigger team where it warrants you to have like regional managers, regional directors, this is also huge, because if you start assigning people accountability by financial statement lines or accountability by classes in your bookkeeping or locations, whatever it is, if you say you are accountable to the goals and objectives of this particular channel, then you have a direct link and measurement to performance. And that is huge, to be able to have clarity to performance and how people are doing. And you can actually connect people to those line items. So for example, even if you are a small business that isn't really at this level where you're like, oh, I don't know if I could really assign people financial statement line items, hear me out. So for example, let's say I hire someone to do my ads, and now the ad spend that I have, or I can even look at my ad spend, I can look at the agency spend, I can look at all of that and say, okay, you own, let's say I hire somebody in operations and I say, okay, you're going to hire the ads agency. Cool. You are now responsible for the metric of ROI from ads. We want to keep it above X. So they might be responsible. Your team member, if you have one, if you are in a position to have one, would be responsible for that metric, and the agency could be accountable, right? And that's the key thing, is that you're going to hold people accountable by line items and say, okay, my return on ad spend, or by metrics, I should say by metrics as well. But if you say this financial statement line you own, if you own revenue, if you own cost of goods sold, if you own expense line items, and you say you are responsible for making that work, people will pay attention to it. They will. And it doesn't have to be every line item. It doesn't have to be every single piece of the P&L has to be covered by somebody. But look at the big needle movers. Look at the items that really are drivers of your revenue or your costs, and assign people the objective of working through those items. You don't have to do it by yourself. Imagine if you pull your P&L and you just looked at an expense and you said, hey, marketing expense is higher than I thought it would be, or higher than it seems it should be. What if you gave the intern, even an intern, I'm just telling you, like you said, hey, I want you to research why our marketing spend is increasing. It's huge. If you just give them and say, I want you to pay attention and focus on this one thing for X period of time, watch what happens. Because you're going to start having more insights, more available information. And that accountability of, hey, you're responsible for explaining this, or you're responsible for looking at this, but also keeping it narrow enough to be manageable. That is huge. So if you're looking for team accountability, if you're looking for a way to manage your team more effectively, there's a few things that I would recommend outlined in this episode. One is to implement really solid tools if you're good at project management. But number two is to develop the skills in project management by using these other types of methods to be able to hold your team accountable, to manage the team effectively, and to be in the right role in your business. You should be in the consulted or informed box. You should not be accountable to all of the actions that are going on in your business, and you should be able to delegate those items. So I hope that you have the best of luck with your next hire, your growth, your accountability, and I'll see you on the next episode. If you're an entrepreneur who's just starting out, it can be overwhelming to think about all the responsibilities you have when it comes to financial management and taxes. Even if you've been binging this podcast, implementing all of it can be really stressful if you don't have a clear list of action steps and know exactly what you should be doing right now. Luckily, we organized all of this for you in the Business Financial Quick Starter. This is your one-stop shop for beginning steps of entrepreneurship so you can build your business confidently from day one. This is not me teaching accounting, no way. It's a specific set of essential action steps to save you a lot of time, money, and headaches as you embark on your own entrepreneurship journey. We cover everything from setting up your business bank account all the way through avoiding a surprise tax bill. Now, as a podcast listener, you get 10% off with code KEEPWHATYOUEARN, all one word. So dive in now and access your Business Financial Quick Starter. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and review on your podcast platform. This small action goes a long way for podcasters to get our message heard by more business owners just like you. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to information about our guests and ways to get in touch with me. We'll see you on the next episode.